Live, this is 24-hour News 8.
It was just like boom, 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 boom. And then they yelled, "Officer down," put him in the ambulance, and they took off.
We start 24-hour News 8 at 6 with breaking news tonight. A gunfight in Wyoming. An officer shot, a suspect taken into custody.
This all happened in the area of Himes Street and Jefferson Avenue in Wyoming about 3:45 today. We have just received some viewer video where you can hear a few of the gunshots. Listen in.
Witnesses have told our crews they heard several gunshots.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Sterling.
And I'm Susan Shaw. We've been bringing you live continuous coverage since this all happened late this afternoon. Here's the latest on those involved now. The officer is in the hospital. We're told that he is listed in stable condition. The suspect is also in the hospital. He is in serious condition. One other person has minor injuries from this incident.
We do have crews spread out all over tonight, getting you all of the angles on this still developing story. Joe LaFurgey's at the hospital where that police officer was taken today. Casey Jones is talking with witnesses.
But we start with Heather Walker, who has been in close contact with investigators. Heather, what's the latest?
Well, very scary moments today, Sue. We were coming here off of a tip that an officer was involved in a shooting. We heard "officer down" over the scanner. At the same time, we're seeing crews from all over flying by us. I want to get out of the way and give you a look at the scene right now. Much quieter than it was a few hours ago. We just got briefed from Wyoming Police Chief Carmody. He says this all has started around 3:30 in the 200 block of Himes. It was a domestic call, actually, that started this all. They knew that there were weapons in the home. They got the female out of the home. It was a male and female that were fighting. They got the female out of the home. Then the male came out with multiple weapons and opened fire. An officer was hit. They then returned fire, but the suspect ran off throughout the neighborhood. We also learned from the chief just a few minutes ago that a neighbor was also hit during that as the suspect was firing shots while running through this neighborhood. Now, he did end up coming back to the scene and opening fire once again on officers. 2 officers returned fire and put down the suspect. The chief says that this is so unusual. He talked about that in his press conference about how officer-involved shootings really don't happen here in Wyoming.
I've been here 8 years. The first time that I've had that occur here, myself, this is the second officer-involved shooting that I've had where one of my officers was shot. So this is the first time in 8 years.
Now, the good news, of course, tonight is that that officer is in stable condition. Unfortunately, he was hit just near his belt line, so it was just below his vest that would have protected him from getting that bullet. Also, the condition of the suspect tonight is the last we heard was serious. The only information we are getting about that suspect is that he is a white male in his 30s. Live out at the scene here, Wyoming, Heather Walker, 24-hour News 8.
Heather, thank you. We do want to get right over to Casey Jones, who has been talking with witnesses.
Casey, you also have video of a police cruiser that was shot.
Yeah, Sue, Brian, as Heather was talking about, much quieter scene, but there were a number of witnesses standing right on this corner here at Himes and Jefferson, the heart of where all of this took place, just a few houses down from us. And those witnesses really telling us some firsthand accounts. They pointed out to us just down the street here at the corner of Abbey and Jefferson, there is one police cruiser out of a number of police cruisers with their lights on whose lights are not on. They tell me that that police cruiser is where the police officers were hiding behind as shots were being fired between them and the suspect. They tell me that the back windshield of that police cruiser was also blown out during that gunfight. Now, those same witnesses told me that they saw the police officer. They heard a loud bang and they saw the police officer come from behind a fence and fall to his knees in front of a gold Trailblazer right here on Himes Street. That was before he got inside a police cruiser, was taken then to an ambulance and taken off the scene. Just one of many witnesses' accounts from a scary day here on Himes and Jefferson.
And then all of a sudden there were just cop cars everywhere. And then right in front of my house, I live just 5 houses down there, there was a fire truck and he was just sitting there, and all of a sudden he went down and blocked the road, and then the ambulances came from both sides. And then I heard tons of shots. I mean, it was just like boom, 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 boom. And then they yelled, "Officer down," put him in the ambulance, and they took off.
Now, those witnesses telling us that all that action happened just 4 houses down right here in front of a red car in one of these driveways, but they said they really don't know who lives in that house. We're, of course, trying to find out more information on the suspect. Live in Grand Rapids, Casey Jones, 24-Hour News 8.
Okay, chaotic events there today. Casey, thank you. Let's go live right now to Mercy Health St. Mary's Hospital in Grand Rapids, where the officer was taken.
24 Hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey is there live today. Joe?
Yeah, Brian, Sue, again, that officer, as Heather said, is here in the hospital in stable condition. Again, those wounds not life-threatening. That was the good news here. We do not know what hospital the suspect was taken to or what condition that suspect is in. Interesting scene here. Right after we arrived just sometime after Wyoming Public Safety Chief James Carmody arrived. He was seen pacing just outside the doors here of the emergency room, cell phone in hand, obviously communicating with his command staff back and forth and checking on that officer's condition. We also saw several GRPD command staff come down here as well, including Chief David Rahinsky. They were all here. Nobody was saying anything, and it was interesting. You see the officers pacing around, and unfortunately I've covered enough of these through the years to know, kind of read into their faces, and it's the same story every time. Very worried group of folks standing around the officers and worried about this officer. Then you see a bit of a mood change, and that's what happened here this afternoon right before we found out that this officer was going to be okay. The kind of look on their faces and kind of the tension seemed, with nobody saying anything, seemed to raise a little bit, so you knew that maybe there was some good news. Obviously this wasn't as bad as that it could have been. So that is the news here from the hospital. We'll continue to update you on the officer's condition throughout the evening. Back to you.
Okay, Joe LaFurgey reporting live, part of our team covering this story. Our coverage will continue both in this broadcast and on later editions of your 24-Hour News 8. Again, just a quick recap. An officer in Wyoming was injured today, will be okay, hit by a bullet just below his waist. He is in the hospital. The suspect was also shot, a white male described to be in his mid-30s. His injuries not known, said to be in serious condition. Again, look for updates both on air and online.